Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast. I'll be your host today, Mattson here with my co-host, JJ.
To keep the tradition alive. Me. What's up, bitches?
And that's what I was going to do. And Alec Burgess.
Me. Let's get it.
Yes. Doesn't sound as cool unless it's coming from me. If you all have noticed, I've been doing some more fun intros of late, focused around the Acme cartoon characters. What was really funny, though, JJ somehow telepathically read my mind, because that's literally the one I was like, what am I going to do next? That was the one. If you don't already know, whenever I'm hosting, that means we're doing one of our segments here, and this happens to be mine today. So we're going to be talking about Mattson's cool shit. And whether it's cool or not cool, we're going to be talking about getting tan today. For our listeners that have never seen me before, I am a very pasty, very white, and very redheaded individual. And I have been always jealous of those that could get very tan. So we're going to talk about why it's cool or maybe not cool to be tan. So first, let's bring some science into this equation here.
Oh, shit.
And before I get into the science, I'm going to ask my other co-hosts, how do we get tan? I'm curious if you guys can actually explain how that process works.
No idea. I have no clue.
I was expecting at least an answer of, well, you go outside and stand in front of the sun.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I'll give you a step-by-step process. I put on my Speedo and my flip-flops, and I, Conor McGregor, walk out to the pool where I put down my towel and lay down on the pool deck.
Yeah, I got it going mowing the lawn with my shirt off when I was a kid. That's in my barely there track shorts.
So JJ had one of those solid arm farmer's tans.
No, I would go with my shirt off. Like
shirt off.
Yeah,
Thank goodness.
I mowed with my shirt off.
All right.
Because as a kid, I cared if I had a farmer's tan. I don't anymore because I'm fat, so I just wear the sleeveless shirts. So my arms are tan, but the rest of me isn't.
Okay. Well, to get into the scientific sides of things, tanning is, according to the Skin Cancer Foundation, they obviously would be pretty good experts here. They say tanning is caused by exposure to ultraviolet, so UV radiation from the sun, or if it's not the sun, we know you can go to tanning beds as well, as they say, that cause genetic damage to cells on your outermost layer of skin. That sounds a little scary, though. Their genetic damage. The skin tries to prevent further injury by producing melanin, the pigment that gives our skin its color, that results in darkening, what we call a tan. So that's how it happens. But the opposite of that is, why do some individuals get more tan than others, or the lack of tan? So in looking at this website, why most gingers can't get a tan, from Julia Raby's Science, she says, to sum up all that science, redheads have a faulty MC1R receptor, which doesn't switch on in response to the sun's UV rays. This means that the yellow-red phenomelanin in their melanocytes cannot convert into the brown-black eumelin, which creates a tan. So basically, my body is faulty.
I was going to say that's a lot of big words. Essentially, you're saying redheads are broken.
Exactly. If we were to further sum up the science, we're saying, but even
like
getting
Mattson.
But even getting further into that, I was reading, there's a study out there that actually shows that redheads can, one, get tan, but two, are 5 times, where does it say this in here? However, scientists at the University of Bedford suggest if you're fair-skinned and a redhead, your skin is potentially 5 times better at tanning than olive-skinned sunbathers. How that actually works is, the problem is redheads also make another chemical when we potentially could get tan that increases the amount of inflammation in our skin, hence the red sunburn that is more pronounced on individuals like us. So those that are more olive-skinned, that inflammation causing chemical is significantly repressed. So while we could, I guess, get more tan because we have fair skin that could take that in, because of that faulty receptor and then increased inflammation it's kind of a very risky battle where we have to focus so hard, I think, on getting tan that it almost becomes impossible because of the pain that's involved. Where if you're not like on the putting the lightest amount of sunscreen and gradually doing that, where you olive skin people out there, y'all just walk out there and you're just like JJ, mowing the lawn, getting a tan. If I did that, I'd come back in red as a little lobster.
I can't, it's interesting. So when I was younger, I tanned like crazy and I barely burned. Like I remember, I think I was 15 and we went to, I know it would have had to been, 14 or 15. We went to Myrtle Beach for a family vacation. And I went out, we were hanging out on the beach itself and I got a little bit of a sunburn. So not really bad. I was a little pink and was a little tender. I went to sleep, woke up, and it didn't hurt anymore, even though it was still a little more pink than it had. Like it doesn't tan overnight. So, but I didn't hurt. So I thought I was great. So we went to a water park the next day. And I didn't put any sunblock on when I went to this water park. So I got roasted because we were there all day. I was out running around. They had this cliff jumping thing that you could do. They had all sorts. It was a cool water park. And I got absolutely fried to the point that I was like stoplight red. Like I was red. And I was miserable for the rest of the trip. But I was almost as tan as I'd ever been after that trip. Now, and I did that. I told you guys last time we talked about this. I went to Hawaii and came back and people thought I wasn't white. Like I was that tan because I was there for a week and just constantly in the sun and much smarter about it than I was when I was 14 or 15. But now as an adult, so the older I get, probably about 30 years old, I started getting to the point where my dad has never been in a tan. He has dark hair, but you'd think he was a ginger like Mattson. The guy burns, peels, and then is white again. Like that's just how he burns quick and bad. The older I get, the less tolerant I am of the sun. And so like we've been, and you guys know this, we do projects out where we're working on my back deck for ever and a day. It was probably like a month and a half, 2 month project that I was out in my sleeveless shirts and putting sunblock on my arms and things like that. But I would get sunburned every time I went out and then it would just peel and I would be white again. And I'm like, so I've lost and I don't know if it's an age thing, if my skin cells, knowing that there's some science behind that, if I don't produce melanin the same way, or if maybe my red-haired heritage from my Scottish and Irish bloodlines have just grown up and said, no, you're done.
I think like a lot of things, your body just doesn't respond. It's like your vision gets worse. Things just kind of deteriorate. Your skin isn't the elasticity and the whatever. I don't know all the other terms, but I think it's just age. It's just your body not being able to produce like it did before and kind of bounce back.
Sure.
I gave up. Because I used to be the same way, JJ, where like if I spent time in the sun, people wouldn't recognize me.
Yeah.
Because I looked not white. I looked Hispanic, or I looked like I was a mixture of something. And I've had people who like I worked with when I was white, not going outside, and spent 3 weeks in the sun, came back and they were like, "Who are you?" Like right off the bat, they're like, "Alec?" Yeah. Like, yes, I get tan. I told you guys this. So the reason why I did is because Oshi didn't believe me. I was like, watch. Spent 3 weeks in the sun, and I was still pasty white next to her. Because for those of our listeners who know, Oshi is 100% full-blooded Native American.
Yeah. So
the underside of her like arm, where you can see I'm pasty white, you can see the gold brown on the other arm. Brown. So even as dark as I could get, her underarm was darker. So I gave up.
That's funny.
Stupid.
That's funny.
I'm not gonna spend weeks out in the sun just to look more white next to the person.
Thinking back to like when you guys are growing up and such, was it cool to be tan? Because I definitely have my perspective. I want to hear from you all that actually could get tan.
Dude, I think this might be the first time I'm ever admitting this in public. So when I was 20, had to been 23, 24 years old, I had a friend named Eric. He's still a friend. We just don't hang out like we used to. We used to work together. Really good friends. Like we spent a lot of time together. He used to live in a city here in Utah called Roy. And they had this little gym that was really cheap to join, but they had tanning beds that you could also get. And if you joined this gym, they gave you like 3 tanning sessions for free or whatever as part of joining the gym as a first time benefit or whatever. And I had never been, because I never needed to, I'd never been in a tanning bed in my entire life. And so, but Eric and I used to go to the gym every other day at least. And one day he's like, yeah, let's go hit the tanning beds. I'm like, let's go do what now? He's like, let's hit the tanning beds. I'm like, why would I do that? He goes, dude, it's really kind of relaxing. I was like, okay, whatever. So,
dude, you fake baked?
Oh, dude, I got hooked on it. Like it was not okay. Like, so I went and it was relaxing. Like it's warm. You're laying there. It's a little awkward at first because like the first time you hop in there and your skivvies or less, like you're like, you got a sock over your junk because you don't want to sunburn on your junk. So you're like, it's really weird. But like you turn the music on, they got a radio in there. You turn some music on, you lay in there for 10, 15 minutes. The thing dings and it's like your easy bake fat kid oven. Like it's great. But because that's seriously like you're laying there and it's like bing, and you're like, shit, my time's off. And then the lights turn off.
I'm assuming, do you get sweaty in there?
Oh, like, yeah, it gets hot. And so like you get up and they give you cleaning stuff. So you got to like spray off the tanning bed because you're just laying on glass with bulbs, like big fluorescent bulbs underneath it and above you. And you got weird.
Yeah, the little like they look like swimmer's goggles almost.
Yeah, they're really weird, but they're super dark, so you don't burn your eyes. But yeah, it was we used to go every time we go to the gym, we'd finish and I got really tan because it was perfect for me. Like, because I never burned. You'd stay in there for 15, and we got to the point where I was so tan that for it me to get more tan, I had to stay in for like 30, 35, 40 minutes.
JJ, well, I think we have the answer to why your skin is no longer getting tan like it did because you freaking fried it.
Killed it.
And I was constantly very tan for probably a year and a half because I was constantly in the tanning bed, me and Eric. And Eric, the funniest part though, Eric is pure 100% ginger as Mattson. Freckles, all of it. Like he was as redheaded as it gets.
Any tan from it?
Kind of. Like it was funny. So when I started going, he'd been doing the tanning bed thing for a while at this place because you could buy like 30 sessions for not very much money at this gym, and then like you could use it whenever. Like you didn't have there was no cutoff to when you could use it. So he'd been doing it for a while, and so he got really pissed because like a week or two after I had started doing it with him, I'm like freaking baked. And I look like a perfect pie crust, and this dude can't he's barely got some color to his skin. So, and really what he did is his freckles got darker and the rest of him stayed the same color. It was really funny but yeah, no, I love that kid. But yeah, I was seriously for a long time. And then and then there were some issues where a friend of mine had to get some skin cancer removed. And I went, I got a lot of weird spots. So I never had anything, thankfully, knock on wood, but I stopped messing around with the sun and tanning beds after that. So
mine was, I ran cross country and track in high school, and you didn't want to be the kid who didn't run with his shirt off.
Yeah.
So that just day after day after day, 5 or 6 days a week out running in San Diego where I grew up. Cross country is a fall sport, track's a spring sport, so the sun's out and nice and tan. And then I went to Idaho for 2 years. Lost it. Yeah. 2 winters in Idaho. Came back looking like a sheet of paper. Spent a summer in San Diego. Got it all back. Then moved to Utah. So, yeah. And then after that, I kind of off and on,
sheets of paper can look good, okay?
Yeah, but see, I also... At that point, I was like 4 different colors.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I always wore shorts. So my legs still had a little bit. Then you get the upper thigh that has never seen the light of day, which is a stark contrast.
You got the booty cheeks.
And then my torso is a little bit, but not really. And then right at the t-shirt line. So I look like a fucking Picasso painting.
Can I just tell you that the funniest part about tanning bed was that my ass was tan? seriously, like it was the weirdest thing because like my whole life I'd been tanned from the waist up, and then like from my knees down had a little color, but I was always the most from like my waist up was always the most tan. But it was really odd when I was doing the tanning bed because you get in and you lay down and like I said, other than a sock or a little washcloth, you're naked in this thing. So like I would come out and I'd look and you look at yourself in the mirror because you're like, man, I'm tan as hell. You get out of the shower or whatever, like my ass is tan. That is the weirdest thing. And I've had sunburn in a lot of weird places, but my ass, the sunburn on my ass from the tanning bed, because that was the only burn I ever got in the tanning bed was on my ass cheeks. It's unpleasant because you sit down and move at all. It's terrible. Terrible. It's horrible.
All right. I need to jump in here because I'll just have such different experiences over here. Like, so I was a big runner. I was on cross country and track as well, and you have to wear those short shorts. And I had never tried to get a tan in my life until junior year. I was like, this is the year I'm gonna have somewhat of a tan on my white legs. Leading into that, I was that kid that I did run with my shirt off. I was also very skinny, and yes, I was extremely white. And did I hear about that often? Yes, I did, but what was I going to do about it? Because I was dang born this way, people. Freaking, I didn't have the MCR1 thing that turned burn in the tan. Like, mother effers out here just like, oh, he's so white. Like, why is he so... I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do about it? Like, I can't change my complexion because that was the way I was born. Like, whether you believe in God or the universe happened or whatever, like, I was dealt a shitty hand right there. Like, what am I supposed to do about that? So, wanted to take it into my own hands. So, I spent literally the whole summer. I would wear shorts that were, like, knee length, and I'd start to pull them up a little bit. Like, all right, I'm going to work in this little area. I'm going to get a little gold here. And I'm going to hike it up a little more and a little more. It took me the better part of like 4 months until the beginning of cross country season in the middle of September. And then we're not even talking I was tan, man. Like by my standards, I could notice a difference, but I was like, it was like you took like a little bit of butter and like spread it on me, and I had like a slight gold tinge to me. And it was that much effort where I was like, this just isn't going to work. Like, this is not sustainable. I can't live my life this way. I was going to be a dumbass and be like JJ and get on a tanning bed as a ginger and shorten my life by like 40 years. So man. I tried to do it the all natural way. And I'd have to sit out there in our back deck and just let the sun get on my leg in that regard. And like, dude, you had to like make sure you were still applying sunscreen, give your body a little bit of time to get burned, apply it again. It was like a science out there, and it was not worth the time. So fast forward into that season, I was proud of my leg coverage, but I still was white everywhere else. So it's just like, this isn't worth it. And then in my senior year, one of the more embarrassing experiences of my life, we were playing Manhunt, like in August before the season. I was the team captain. Manhunt is like glorified team hide and seek with like kind of cops and robbers if people have never played before. Great game. So lots of running, and we were in my neighborhood, and honestly, there's probably 40 to 50 kids because we had two separate teams in my neighborhood. Someone called the cops. You know how stupid parents are in neighborhoods, and they're like, oh, like kids are running my backyard, like they're making noise. Cops came. They were cool cops. Basically just told us, you should not play, but if you keep playing, just be quiet. And I was like, all right, sweet. You guys are great. But this one, I mean, so it's hot. We're in Virginia. It's humid. For those of you that know the East Coast, the humidity, you know, like at night, it's still like low 90s, super hot. Like you're sweating. So I didn't have my shirt on. I was probably wearing my little short cross-country shorts. I'm sure I didn't look good. I was skinny as a rail. Because I was like 6'2", $165 or $170 at that point in time. You could see my heart beats, my heart palpitations, like on the left-hand side of my chest. Like you could see it like kind of protrude out of the skin. Just giving you some context here. But I also looked like a flashlight in the night. Like Manhunt was a little harder for me. Thank goodness I was fast, but I had to really hide myself out there because like I'm behind a bush. I had to be like in the bush because my whiteness is like popping through. But long story short, the cops came out. I went up to talk to them. I'm the team captain. It's my neighborhood. I'm going to take responsibility. Got through the whole like, hey, it's fine. But this cop took his mag flashlight, like the big ones, you know, the super long ones that you could basically use as a weapon. And he goes right up to me and sticks it right in my gut and says,
"No,
I think I see a cheeseburger in there." And I kid you not, people on my team said they could see the beam of light like start to protrude out of the backside of me because those mags are powerful. And man, just straight up humiliated me because of my whiteness and my skinniness right in front of my whole team. There's no coming back from that. Like that was just like that was a low point in my life. So like I wanted to be bigger. I wanted to be tan. And this cop, like F the police, just made me look like a complete and utter loser in front of them.
Oh man.
So it was a moment that I really wanted to be tan.
I think I see a cheeseburger in there. That's fantastic. Dude, I'm learning about Mattson, and it's funny. I think as kids, like we were on the opposite ends of a lot of spectrums. Like I was freaking 220 and like 8% body fat when I was in high school and a teenager, and I was tan as a freaking tan could get. And you're like skinny as a rail and translucent.
Exactly. And so now I'm trying to live my life, and I wanted to get into the topic of sunscreen here real fast and just let all our listeners out there know SPF 100 is a sham. Like, just you don't need to be going past 50, and let me be the expert on sunscreen here. Let me tell you, I've tried 10, I've tried 20, 30, 40, 50. I've gone up to 75 and 100. Let me just tell you, save your money out here. Don't go past 50, because the problem is when you put on 100, you're feeling invincible. You feel like Superman out there, and you're like, mother effing sun, you're flicking off to it, and you're like, I'm out here for 6 hours. I don't need to reapply. That shiz is fake. That's like a drug that they sell you that's supposed to be cocaine, but they lace it with some other stuff, and it doesn't do what it's supposed to. You don't want to be in that camp. You don't want to feel like you're Superman, and then you get back from the beach, and you're like, wow, I ain't going out for the next week because I got sores all over my damn body. JJ talked about the worst burn of his life being on his butt. Well, let me tell you, I've had 2 burns that have been horrific. One of them was on my butt. It was a bar, the middle across my 2 little white butt cheeks. I don't know how it happened. I think the swimsuit I had, whatever fabric contraption that I don't know what it was, but man, you couldn't sit down. Like I couldn't poop. Like it was unbearable. I had to hover poop because I couldn't put my cheeks down because it hurt so bad. But the other one that was just as bad, if you burn the tops of your feet, you can't put socks on. You can't put flip-flops on. It is unbearably painful. And that's like my life. And when you get burned that bad, in my family, we didn't use aloe, like aloe vera gel that people like. We used Desitin, like the baby butt paste stuff, because not only did it take out like the burn, it took out the redness as well. So we call it ghost face, because my little brother was notorious where he could tan some, but he would just get basted the first day, like totally like burned. Like most people that think they can tan, they always get burned the first day. You're like, I don't need sunscreen, I'm fine. And it's like, maybe just put on a little and you'll be fine through the week. But he'd get so burned, like we have pictures of him just with pure white face and then like white body, and looked like a little ghost running around, and you couldn't touch him because anything you touch, you like smudge some of this crap on everywhere. So long story short, for me, I've gotten good enough where I wear sun guards. I don't wear like a long sleeve one like my other redheaded brother, but I'm very good at reapplying. And I've kind of like every hour and a half I'm in the water and such. Like you got that internal clock going. You're like, am I going to be burned, or am I going to put in the sunscreen and just accept my reality? Because there's a cheeseburger inside of me that people can see.
So I have to clarify, my butt cheeks weren't the worst sunburn I ever had. That was unpleasant, but the worst was when I was in high school. I played as many sports as I could play, but I played soccer in the summer. But for football, I used to shave my head most of the year, and so when I say shave it, I mean it was like Mr. Clean shave my head. And I went and played soccer one day, or my regular summer soccer, with an almost bald head. And then normally I'd be fine with one soccer match, but we decided to stay and play pickup soccer after we played for 4 or 5 hours. And I didn't think to put any sunblock on. So I didn't notice it. Like I was fine. It was hot, but I didn't notice it. But I got home, got in the shower, and did the whole wash my head thing, and felt the blisters pop and the skin peel off the top of my head. And when you don't realize it, and you've got all this shampoo on your hand, and you peel the skin off the top of your head in hot water, never felt pain like, other than like
Oh.
major surgery. I've never felt anything like that before.
Oh.
Like it was miserable for like
Oh.
2 weeks. I was just, because I had just caused like a layer and a half of skin to come off top of my head plus a sunburn. Oh, it was miserable. Terrible.
I've never been burned badly.
That's why hats almost all the time.
We're gonna change that. But I want to talk about cultures here for a moment, because as we know, some cultures it's not cool to be tan. Usually in like Eastern cultures in Asia, for instance, they actually, I mean, people will take like skin tone lighteners, for instance, and it goes back to, I was reading about it this morning. In Asia, it's more desirable to have light skin because, once again, it portrays that you don't have to spend time working a low-income job like farming. So it's more desirable to have light skin. So many beauty products cater to that. So maybe I just need to move and embrace where I'll be loved the most.
Hey, don't think I haven't thought about moving down in some Polynesian islands where being a fat kid's actually pretty popular. Dude, they can eat. So I have one last point that I want to bring up before we move on this, and Alec could probably attest to this, because Arizona, I remember when I was living in Arizona, we were out in the sun, and I had 2 layers of white shirts on. Still got a sunburn through the white shirts. So there are places in the world, Arizona namely one of them, where you can wear clothes and you still get sunburned. It was the dumbest thing. I'm like, I remember getting back to my apartment and like getting in the shower, and you know when that water hits your sunburn, you're like, whoa. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, I was wearing a shirt all day. 2 of them, actually. How did I get some? Yeah, white shirts, they don't protect your ass in places like Arizona. It's bullshit.
It's awesome.
It's bullshit. So hot. So fucking hot.
How do you feel like when I was on my Mormon mission in Ghana, and then I had to go to Vegas, like I'm at the equator basically in Ghana, I'm close to it. I'm having to apply sunscreen, and my white collars around my neckline are just turning bright yellow because I got to put this sunscreen on. Then I have to wash that out by hand, and I'm sitting here just being like, how the heck did I get sent to one of the hottest places on earth and the sunniest places with my complexion? Like, and you couldn't wear hats like then, and so I'm just just stupid. I'm like, I'm literally gonna die serving my God in this sense, and so this stuff's always funny.
But did you guys get the nice backpack stains on the back of your shirts?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Fucking gross.
Absolutely. I had a
Stupid
line
Arizona
that came across, and then where like you'd be walking or riding your bike, and you'd have dirt that would be on the outside of your sweat line, and everything was the worst. The last thing I want to end on it for our listeners, and maybe JJ, we can upload this to the Patreon. If the pictures of me, so this past year in my fantasy football league, I got last place, and we do a punishment. And the last place punishment was this year to get the darkest full body spray tan possible. And then my team members were able to like put stickers on me and stuff. So I got last this year and had to get the spray tan. And so that they put on my arms, they put in blue painter's tape last place, and they put a heart on my neck and then a couple speed stripes. Pretty funny photo. Comparatively speaking, to see what I look like before and after. So, JJ, if there's a way to upload that to Patreon for someone like Charles and hopefully some of our future Patreon people to take a look at, I promise you will laugh.
Yeah, I'm sure I can figure that out.
But I will say, once like the horribleness of the tan kind of to wear off a little bit, and like it was more normal, like having my legs look like they did, I was like, man, this is what it's like. Like, I look good. This is cool. Like, I could see the reason people want to be tan, and that was the whole idea of this podcast. Is at least in our cultures here in America, more often than not, it is very cool to be tan, and I'm jealous.
Yeah, people still getting those tanning beds
Or spray tans.
or spray tans.
Fake baking.
Fake bacon.
Worst.
Oh, it was dumb, but it was the easiest tan. It was interesting. Other than being hot, everybody knows I hate being hot, and it's hot in that little fucking tube.
That's a subject of a podcast we should probably talk about too. JJ, crazy person out here. JJ's a polar bear, but we digress.
I am.
Is there any other departing thoughts from the peanut gallery?
Nope, that was fun.
Oh, this was a good one. Well, JJ,
Yes.
in role reversals, why don't you tell our
Yes.
audience where they can listen and can find us?
Yeah. You can find us all over the place. Normally, I'd tell you first our website, but it's under construction, so keep an eye out for that. We're looking forward to the new facelift it's getting. You can find us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all at What's Our Verdict. You can also find us more active than anywhere, thanks to Alec, on TikTok. Some really funny videos, good stuff, thought-provoking shit. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. I check it out every day, so it's entertaining. As Mattson mentioned, you can find us on Patreon. We have 3 tiers there with exclusive content for all. It gets more and more exclusive as you go, all the way up to the point where you can tell us once a quarter what movie to watch. So, and that'll be an exclusive episode for Patreon members. So it's, we have stuff that goes on outside of our normal podcast. When you're listening to the podcast, you can find us wherever fine podcasts are found: Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google, just to name a handful. You can also find us on YouTube at What's Our Verdict, where you get to see our smiling faces while we talk about shit like getting sunburns and tanning, and it's fun. So, yeah, there it is.
Well, JJ, thank you. Listeners, appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah. Cinematic. Oh, wait, that shit doesn't work. Peace out, bitches.
Bye.
Whoa!